Before working with any power tools, you want to be sure to remove and/or secure all loose articles of clothing, including, but not limited to, necklaces, lanyards, watches, jewelry, and loose articles of clothing such as ties. Long sleeves will need to be rolled up. If you have long hair, it will need to be tied back. When working with power tools, it is important to wear safety glasses. You will need to make sure the safety glasses are industrial strength. Look for the Z87.1 marking. It is highly recommended that you wear hearing protection when using a table saw. If you are using earplugs, be sure to read the instructions on proper use. When operating a table saw, it is imperative to keep the table saw and floor clear of all foreign objects, such as tools, scrap wood, oil, and sawdust. Although sawdust doesn't seem hazardous, on a smooth floor, sawdust can become quite slippery. Before turning on the table saw, you need to check the blade for missing teeth or cracks and make sure the blade is not loose. In the case of missing teeth or cracks, report the blade to the instructor. If the blade is loose, disconnect the main power and tighten the blade. The nut to tighten the blade is located underneath the table insert. Different types of table saws have different ways to tighten the nuts. Ask your instructor to find out how your particular table saw works. All safety devices that came with the table saw need to be used and functioning when operating a table saw. The only safety device that came with this particular table saw is a blade guard. If a safety device is removed or disabled to perform a specific task, it should immediately be reinstalled or enabled after the operation is completed. You want to raise the saw blade between 1/4 and 1/2 inch above the material being cut. Before making any cuts on the table saw, you need to perform a dry run. A dry run is a practice run with the table saw off and the blade lowered. By doing this, you know that nothing is going to surprise you during the cut, like the blade guard not clearing the wood or a push stick being out of reach. While the saw is running, you never want to reach over the blade, and always push the whole way through the cut, as seen here. When operating a table saw, it is important to never stand between the fence and the blade. This is referred to as the danger zone. You should always stand on the outside of the blade, opposite of the fence. This is what it looks like for a right-handed person. This is what it looks like for a left-handed person. Always use a push stick if there's less than 4 inches between the blade and the fence. These are two different types of push sticks. One on the right is a better type of push stick because it helps to keep the wood flat on the table and gives the operator more control. Only use the push stick on the left if there isn't enough room to use the push stick on the right. When cutting long or wide stock, always use a helper to support the wood on the back side of the table saw. When working with others, it is important to communicate to the helper what you want them to do. Always wait for the blade to come to a complete stop before removing any scrap wood. Never leave the saw until the blade has stopped. It is also good practice to lower the saw blade before leaving the area. Table saws require your undivided attention. Horseplay will not be tolerated. If you are ever in doubt or nervous about how to perform an operation on a piece of equipment, you should always check with the instructor before attempting the operation.